Alright, Mrs. Howard's chemistry class. This is part 4 on Unit 10, Heat and Thermochemistry. And I love the heat capacity dealing with this salsa test. So this is another great cartoon for you guys. This is a really short section. So we'll start off with letter F. Capital letter F on your notes, calorimetry. Calorimetry sounds kind of like calories, right? So it's calories has to do with energy and food and heat. It's a process used to measure the heat that's absorbed or released in a chemical or physical process. Heat measurement into or out of a system. And we think of it and we associate it usually with food. So the device that we use to measure the absorption or release of heat in a chemical or physical process is called a calorimeter. And you can make it out of a lot of different things. One of the labs we'll use an aluminum can as a calorimeter. It's not the most ideal, best calorimeter because it doesn't keep in a lot of the heat, but it'll work for what we're doing. We'll also use a styrofoam cup as a calorimeter, which is much better because that styrofoam is an insulator. It keeps in all the heat that we're dealing with. So here's what one type of calorimeter looks like. It's kind of like you have a cup within a cup, and then you can have a thermometer down through it. So a foam cup calorimeter, so you've got two cups nestled in with each other so you have better insulation. Calorimetry experiments can be performed at a constant volume using a device called a bomb calorimeter. Now this is what they really do. If you're working at the Kellogg's company or at Bluebell company, then you still have to set that food on fire and make sure of the calorie content because the FDA requires you guys to put on the backs of your foods how many calories it is. So you use something typically called a bomb calorimeter. It's a completely closed system, and it's best because it's closed, it doesn't lose any heat, so it's really, really accurate. So pretty much what they do, I'll show you a picture in just a second. It's used by these nutritionists to measure the energy content of food. Capital E, remember, is always energy. So here we have this picture, and it's got like an outer container and an inner container, and the food goes on the inside, and it's got little electrodes hooked into it so that when they flip the little switch, it ignites it, kind of puts a spark through it and ignites the food or sets it on fire. And then you can measure the temperature, the heat that's put out by it, so you can see how much it raises the temperature. So it's a lot more complex than what we can do in our chemistry lab. So our lab that we're doing with this section will be dealing with finding out how many calories are in the food that we eat.